And welcome back. Let's see here. John in Cooperstown, New York. Hey, John, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom. Great to be on your show. I really enjoy watching you.
Thank you, and thanks for watching Free Speech. What's up?
I have a question. It kind of occurred to me. I started getting involved with a union back in 2012, and it kind of occurred to me as this NAFTA and TPP discussion has been going on, is how come the unions haven't been involved, and why has the Democratic Party been kind of like turned their back on the unions back since NAFTA and stuff? Do you have any information on that, or?
Well, the war against the unions was launched in large part by Ronald Reagan in 1981 when he became president, and he started with PATCA, the Professional Air Traffic Controllers Organization. And the reason, well, actually, you could say the real war against the unions was launched in 1947 in the House of Representatives. And I frankly don't know who introduced the legislation, but it was during the Harry Truman administration. And it was called Taft-Hartley, which is a piece of legislation that says that the Wagner Act, which guarantees American workers the right to unionize and to a union shop, whether the employer wants it or not. If the majority of the employees want it, it happens. That was the Wagner Act of 1935, also known as the National Labor Relations Act, I think, NLRB or something. NLRB is the bureau or the board that came out of it. But National Labor Relations Act, or the Wagner Act of 35. That essentially a giant hole was blown in the side of that in 1947 by Taft-Hartley when they said that individual states can choose to opt out of those provisions of the Wagner Act that allow for closed union shops. So, and what happens is, if you've got half the employees of a company union employees and the other half are not union employees, the union by law, see, the Wagner Act says that if a union is in a business and any employee of that business goes to the union and says, please defend me against the employer because I've been treated badly, I've been, abused or, fired inappropriately or, trashed or whatever, that the union by law must defend that person. That is still law. So you've got a union in a business place where, say, half the people are members of the union and half of the people chose not to pay their union dues, but they're still getting the benefit of the union negotiating on their behalf, and those people who don't pay the union dues in a so-called right to work for less state, they are able to go to the union and say, you and your lawyers at $150 an hour must defend me in this action against the company, and they can just drain the union's coffers. And this is what happens in state after state after state, and it's one of the reasons why the unions have been destroyed in the United States. Now, the reason why the Republicans wanted to do this was, one, the Republican Party represents big business, and big business hates unions. And number two, the unions, by 1947, actually even, had become one of the major funders of the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party made it possible for the unions to exist. And so the Republicans, by destroying the unions, were also defunding the Democratic Party. And that's what led to, Bill Clinton creating the DLC, where they said, okay, well, we can't get money from the unions anymore. Let's get in bed with the bankers. And, that brought us a whole brand new Democrat thing. Tony Blair did the same thing in the UK. He called it New Labour. And, and that's where we're at right now. John, I'm out of time here. Thanks for the call. It's a great question. We'll be right back.